Welcome to the Video Professor's series of computer learning tapes, the nation's #1 computer trainer. We'll take you step by step through learning to use your computer software. On the screen now are some other tapes available in our series. When using these tapes, we suggest you watch them in their entirety, then go back with your computer and practice each step. In keeping with the Video Professor's dedication to giving you the best lesson possible, we have packed these tapes with information and sometimes move at a pace that is faster than you will be able to follow along with as you are working with your computer. Remember, you can always pause or rewind the tape to learn each part. Now let's get started. And welcome to my lesson on mastering the Internet. In this lesson, you will learn how to use several of the advanced features of the information superhighway, including bulletin boards, chat, news groups, FTP, the file transfer protocol, Gopher, Archie, and other search tools, and Telnet. We'll use Prodigy in the first part of this lesson to gain access to the Internet. Prodigy has many built-in features to help navigate through its own program, as well as to access Internet tools. Later in this lesson, we'll switch to CompuServe and look at the features offered by this service provider for Internet access. No matter what front-end software you use, the tools we'll be looking at, the web, Usenet, FTP, and so on, accomplish the same results. And I'll be pointing out the basic command skills that you can use regardless of which on-ramp you take onto the information superhighway. This lesson covers some advanced Internet skills and tools. I will assume that you have seen my Learn How to Use the Internet lesson or already have some experience on the net. Both the Prodigy and CompuServe programs work within the Windows environment, so it is important that you understand how Windows works. If you would like to brush up on your Windows skills, I suggest you see my tape Learning Windows before starting this lesson. I will review some Windows concepts in this tape and show everything we do. So if you haven't seen my Windows tape, you should be able to follow along. I also assume you have a basic understanding of DOS for this lesson. And again, if you need a review, see my tape Getting Started with Your Personal Computer. Now, before we start the lesson, I'd like to introduce my student assistant, Suzanne. Just follow along with her, and you'll be surfing the net like a pro in no time at all. So let's get started. If you haven't already turned on your computer, do so now. And start Windows. To follow the instructions in this lesson, you must have the Prodigy front-end program loaded on your system. If you do not, pause the tape now and follow the instructions to install Prodigy. Detailed instructions are included in the introductory Internet lesson. Click the Prodigy icon and enter your account ID and password to connect to the service. Viewers, your Prodigy highlight screen will have different options than Suzanne's, since the information here is updated constantly. But the topic buttons at the right and the quick access buttons across the bottom of the window are always available from this screen. Notice the left-hand button with the yellow bar across the top at the bottom of the screen. If you get lost or whenever you're ready to end your session, this button will always bring you back to this starting window. If you pause the lesson to explore a feature on your own, keep this button in mind as a way to return to the starting point. You will then need to follow the steps we show to return to the lesson. In the lower right corner is a box that advises you when you are in a free service area or when you are adding line charges on your account. There are several routes to the Internet via Prodigy. Let's use a jump word, Suzanne. Click the Jump menu and select Jump to. Type Internet. Click on OK. The title bar tells us that this is the Internet Resources screen. On the right side of the window are buttons that list our Internet access points: the World Wide Web, news groups, Internet email, and FTP Gopher. Before we head down one of those trails, just look again at the rest of this list of resources. I'll give you a brief explanation of what you will find, and you can explore on your own. Don't click any of these buttons yet. The Common Questions button has answers to many of the questions or problems that users encounter. This is a good starting point if you have a specific question about how something works in Prodigy. The glossary will help you navigate through the array of specialized words and acronyms that grow and change every day on the net. More info lists books, magazines, and other resources to help learn about using the net. The Internet book is pstar.com, a guide to accessing the global Internet by email. This is a free download. That means you can copy it to your computer. You'll find instructions by clicking on this button. And the Internet BB is the Internet Forum Bulletin Board, which brings us to the first feature we want to explore, Suzanne. Click on that button, and we're off. Bulletin boards work electronically, much like a physical bulletin board. People post notices on the board, and other people can read them and respond. The advantage of an electronic bulletin board is that the posted notices are sorted into topic groups, so you don't have to search through everything to find the one notice that interests you. This board is the Internet Support BB. It is located on Prodigy, and it's a place where Prodigy users can post questions or information for other Prodigy users, specifically about Internet features. The BB is about the net, but we're not exactly on the net at this point. Prodigy has many other bulletin boards, Suzanne. Click on the BB's button at the bottom of the screen. This bulletin board screen tells us we have access to all the 2,000 topics maintained on Prodigy's 70 bulletin boards, from adoption to young pet lovers. Notice the buttons for BB How-Tos and BB Guidelines, Suzanne. The screens you get by clicking these buttons will inform you of the details and rules of the road for using the Prodigy bulletin boards. Let's take a quick cruise to get a feel for how this process works. Remember that a bulletin board is a place to post public messages and to read other people's messages and replies. Click the board's A to Z button, Suzanne. Here's the top of the list of board topics. Your cursor is flashing in the selection box, so type in INT and press Enter. This typing shortcut just took you to the listing for the Internet Forum board. You can see that typing only a few letters will quickly take you to the topic of interest. Or you can just browse through the list until you find a topic that you'd like to follow. There are two buttons next to each board name. The Go To button takes you directly into that bulletin board. The About button is the place to find out more about the topic first. Click the About button for the Internet Forum, Suzanne. Here you see the description of this bulletin board and a sampling of the topics that are discussed here. This looks like a good board to read, so click the Go to the Board button, Suzanne. Now we're back to the actual bulletin board where we started a moment ago, but now we're ready to read some messages. The on-screen instructions are pretty clear, Suzanne. You can ask your own question or comment by clicking the Write a Public Note button. A common suggestion is to lurk before you leap on the net. That just means that if you take some time to watch how it's used, you can avoid embarrassing errors. Let's start by reading some of the messages posted in this topic. Click the Begin Reading Notes button, Suzanne. It's flashing on the lower right part of your screen. This dialog box lists the titles people have given their notes. You can page through the list using your page down key or the left and right arrow buttons at the bottom of the window. But let's take a little more organized approach. Click the bar labeled Notes Subject Order. Here's the same list, but with more information and more control. The top of this note list tells us this is the first page of 4 pages on the topic Beginners Read First. And for each note, we see the title and date of posting, who it is posted to, most are to all, how many replies this message has received, and the date of the latest reply. Viewers, your screen will have a different list than Suzanne's, since this is updated continually as new messages and replies are added. Just watch for a moment as Suzanne follows the first message and reads the replies. The box next to the Anyone Else Here message is flashing, Suzanne. Type an X to mark this choice. Now click the Read Choices button at the bottom. Here's the full text of the first message. At the top of the screen, the tally shows this is Note 1 of 1 and that it has 5 replies. In the message header, we see the To From information, including the sender's Prodigy address. You could reply privately using the Email button, or you can reply publicly using the Reply button at the bottom of the window. But first, let's look at the replies that have already been posted. Click the Read Replies button, Suzanne. Now the tally bar at the top of the window has changed to show that this is reply number 3 of 5. You can use the next reply button to continue to read other replies. You can reply to this reply or go back to the original note and reply. Or, of course, you don't need to reply at all. Click the original note button, Suzanne. Now that you've seen how the notes and replies appear, you can follow any topic that interests you. The topics listed here from the topic button at the top left of the screen are specifically Internet forum topics, and the subjects button gives detailed subjects for each topic. Your starting point to select a topic is the BB's button at the very bottom of the screen. I'm sure you'll have a good time exploring the Prodigy bulletin board, Suzanne, but for now, let's move on to the next topic, shall we? Chat groups are places where you can have online conversations with other people who are online at the same time. Of course, your conversation is typed from the keyboard rather than spoken. And you can chat with several people at the same time about the topic you've all chosen. The computer host handles the traffic so everyone can be heard. Let's take a look at Prodigy Chat, Suzanne. Click the chat button at the very bottom of your screen. Chat is different from the bulletin board because it's a real-time connection among current users. On the bulletin board, you might post a message and then leave, and check back later to see if there are any responses. Chat is instantaneous. Another difference in a chat room is that you can be as anonymous as you like, because you use a nickname to join a chat room. If you like, you can share your real name, but it's not required. We're looking at the Prodigy Chat window right now. The usual buttons appear on the right side of the screen, including one for About Chat and another for Guidelines. Click the Guidelines button, Suzanne, to see a dialog box listing several topics that you can read on your own time. We've already mentioned that it's a good idea to check the local rules for any internet site. Prodigy's rules are posted in the topic, Unacceptable Uses of Chat Rooms. Click the Cancel button to close this dialog box for now. Click the About Chat button, Suzanne. This leads you to a different dialog box with topics that will get you started. Click Getting Started. You'll find more detailed explanations as you read these online resources. Click the right arrow or your page down key to move to the next page. Notice also that these explanations are designated as free, so you can take as much time as you need to read and understand. I'll give you a few highlights to get started. Chat on Prodigy takes place in rooms or in auditoriums. A chat room is dedicated to a particular topic. It has a maximum of 25 participants at any time. Chat rooms are not moderated, which simply means that no one monitors the conversation. A chat auditorium is a larger public room that does have a moderator. Auditorium chats usually feature a well-known public person who answers questions from the other people in the group. The moderator selects the questions from participants in order to keep the conversation topical and lively. Click the menu button at the bottom of the screen, Suzanne, to get back to the main chat screen. Click the Chat Calendar button, and Week 5 to see a list of upcoming chat topics. Click Cancel to close this list. In order to join a chat session, you'll need to set up your nickname. Click the menu button, then click on the Setup Options button, Suzanne. This dialog box gives you control of several features of your chat session. Just click in the boxes to activate the settings you want to use. Click again to remove the X and deactivate that setting. You can give your location and a few interests, or you can leave those spaces blank if you want to be more anonymous. You can also change the size of your room or auditorium. Click Save Settings to keep the choices you prefer. Below the Setup options is the Change Nickname button. Click it, Suzanne. Who would you like to be today? How about Susie Q? Type it in and click OK. That's it. You're ready to join a group. Click Prodigy Chat. Once again, viewers, your screen will be different than Suzanne since different chat groups come and go all the time. The Area and Room List dialog box lists the currently active chat rooms. We're looking only at chat groups on Prodigy. Scroll down the area list, Suzanne, and click on Entertainment. Now the lower part of the dialog box lists active topics, and tells how many people are in the group. Click on Movie Talk, Suzanne, and click the Room Info button. Here's some additional information about the Movie Talk group. Click Cancel to close the information box, and click Go to Room to join the conversation. Here you are in the chat room, Suzanne. The large part of the window shows the conversation as it progresses. The lower section is where you can type your own message. Use clear text to erase a message you don't want to send, or send text to add your comments to the conversation. When you're ready to leave, you can either click the Close Window button or pull down the regular Windows control menu and choose Close. Do that now, Suzanne. I'm sure you'll want to come back and visit later. Meanwhile, let's move along to learn about news groups. Usenet is an internet service that looks something like a bulletin board and something like email. It's a way to ask questions or follow discussions about a variety of topics. Usenet is different from the Prodigy bulletin boards and chat rooms because it extends beyond Prodigy to connect the entire internet community. Usenet and email are probably the most popular internet features. The World Wide Web is rapidly gaining popularity, but it requires special software to browse the graphics. Usenet is text-based, so it uses less computer resources and is more generally available. Click the Net button at the bottom of your screen, Suzanne. The Usenet window is divided into three general areas. The center gives a description of Usenet. At the bottom are two buttons that offer important information. A tutorial and help. You can explore these at your own leisure, Suzanne. At the right of the screen is another series of buttons. The top button, News Groups, actually gets us into this service. But before we go, let's look at the other resources. The Usenet Questions button gives answers to the most common questions feature. You'll certainly want to take some time to review the guidelines and fees information that appears here.
Professor, what is netiquette?
Netiquette is short for network etiquette. We've mentioned the rules of the road in the Prodigy bulletin boards and chat rooms. There are similar customs on the internet. The Netiquette button is an especially important resource because Usenet will put you into connection with individuals throughout the world. Since you are restricted to written communication, it's sometimes easy to be misunderstood. You'll look like less of a newcomer if you already know the things to do and actions or words to avoid. I strongly recommend that you spend some time reading through this information, Suzanne, but you can do that after we've completed this lesson. Let's take a quick look at Usenet now to see how it's organized. Click the News Groups button. If you are entering this screen for the first time, you may get a message that Prodigy is downloading some software to your computer. If you get the new download, you may also get a help screen at the end of the process. Close it to continue with this lesson. The Usenet window lists several Usenet groups that are already subscribed. That's the word used to mean signing up for a particular topic. You can add to or delete topics from this list according to your interest. But before you start making changes, let's use this list to understand how Usenet topics are organized. The first several items on this list are specific to Prodigy. We can see this because their names begin with Prodigy. You can also see some special punctuation in these names. The words are separated by dots. We can see an item called alt.books.Stephen-King. Alt stands for alternative, the most general classification of this news group. Books is a subset of alt, and Stephen King is a subset of books. Our subject gets more specific with each dot. The hyphen between Stephen and King is there to make that subject easier to read and does not represent another subset. You can see titles that begin with news for news, comp, which stands for computer, misc, that's for miscellaneous, rec, it's for recreation, and sci is for science. These are some of the main topics, each of which contain many subsets. Next to each topic are two numbers, showing the total number of articles for that topic and the number you have not yet read. This is how you read the topic names and numbers, Suzanne. About halfway down the list, we can see rec.arts.movies. This news group currently has almost 2,000 comments about movies from an arts point of view as a recreational topic. We'll open a news group in just a moment, but first let's look at the buttons on the right. The description button gives you some background information about a topic, Suzanne. Highlight news.announce.new users and click description. The note moderated means that this topic has controlled access, so you can read the articles but can only add your own if the moderator accepts it. This topic was added to the Usenet list on June 6. Click OK to close the window. If there's a topic on the list that doesn't interest you, you can remove it by highlighting it and clicking the Remove Unsubscribe button at the right. This suggested list will get you started and has some fun topics to experiment with. The Find Newsgroups button gives access to the 10,000 or so additional newsgroups available on the Internet. Prodigy also offers a keyword search function that makes it very easy to look for newsgroup topics. With so many newsgroups available, you can see how important it is to narrow down the list. We'll explore this feature using the Find Newsgroups button in just a moment. Click the Options button, Suzanne. These options may need some explanation. The Ignore list is a list of addresses from whom you do not want to read posted articles. It's a way of screening out messages within a particular topic. You can also set an Ignore when you read a note, and the system will automatically capture the address. Your signature is a distinctive electronic tagline that you can automatically add to all your own postings. When you post to a newsgroup, you must use your system ID. The signature is a way to give a real name and some additional identification if you like, or perhaps a short motto. Good netiquette suggests keeping a signature down to 3 lines or less. The display option buttons control how many articles will appear when you choose a topic. When in the default setting, your articles will no longer be displayed after you've read them. If you make changes here, simply click Save Settings to activate those choices for future Usenet sessions. For now, click Cancel. The View Articles Since setting is another way to reduce the download time when you request a topic. The default setting is yesterday's date, so you can just look at newly posted articles. The list can get pretty long in popular topics. If you haven't read for a while and want to catch up, you can change the date. I suggest setting it back by about a week, Suzanne, to 6/20 for this first lesson. This will give enough traffic to get a good look at how this tool works. Now let's take a quick look at one of the topics on this list to see how it works. Then we'll go looking for a topic of our own. How about the sci.space.shuttle topic, Suzanne? Click once to select that item, and then click Go to Newsgroup. When you pick a topic, the computer begins to build a list of the article titles. This may take a while if there are a lot of titles. We're waiting for 193 articles in this topic. This second window looks similar to the first, with topics in the large window and buttons on the right. Notice what this set of buttons will do for you. Go to Articles, Clear Articles, Post New Article, and Download Articles. I'll give you a brief explanation of what those commands mean, but you can also search out your own questions and answers right here from the Get FAQ button.
What's FAQ, Professor?
FAQ stands for Frequently Asked Questions, and you'll find this code in many internet locations. It's a place to start for a quick answer to the most common questions that arise in many different areas. The search button just below FAQ allows you to narrow down a long list of articles by selecting words or authors you particularly want to see. We'll see how that works a little later. Within the Space Shuttle topic, we have a long list of subjects and an indication of how many articles are related to each subject. This list currently has 193 articles threaded. A thread in Usenet is a link among articles, so you can follow a specific subject as readers post additional related articles or comments. Let's take a look at one that has several articles. How about Space Rescue Ball? Highlight that topic and click Go to Articles. Here we see two sections in the window and some more buttons. The top section shows the IDs of the people who have posted the articles in this subject. The first one is highlighted, and that article is displayed in the lower section of this window. Scroll down to the bottom of this article, Suzanne, and you can see the writer's signature, his full name, and email address. This is the first article in this thread. To see the next one, you can click the Next Article button at the bottom of the window, or you can double-click on the article header in the top section. The View Header button at the right gives the full article header with past and posting details. The View Article button skips this stuff so you can get directly to reading the text of the message. The Respond button is pretty obvious. Click this if you want to add a comment or question to the thread. The Ignore button will take the address of this article and put it on your Ignore list, so you won't see future postings from this person. Print Save opens a dialog box where you can copy text to the Windows clipboard and then save it or print it. Suzanne, this short tour should give you an idea of how the Newsgroup Reader works, so you can come back and explore on your own. Let's go on now to look for new Newsgroup topics. Click the Cancel button to close the article window, and cancel again to close the Space Shuttle topic window. The dialog box asks if you want to clear the current list. This will close out the topics you haven't looked at, so click No for now. After you've explored further, you can use this step to thin out the reading list. Now we're back to the Newsgroup list that was provided by Prodigy. Let's go looking for other topics. Click the Find Newsgroups button, Suzanne. The Find a Newsgroup dialog box offers 3 ways to sort through the groups. Latest Groups Added is the default choice and is a good way to check out the newest offerings. All available groups will simply open the list of everything. Pretty lengthy way to find a topic when you have about 10,000 to look through. But this could be a way to find that off-the-wall topic that you might not think of otherwise. For our purposes, the text pattern search is the best option. Click that button, Suzanne. Now we can type a word and narrow down the choices to topics that include that word. Type CAR, C-A-R, Suzanne, and click Find Now. Well, now we learned something about a text string search. We can have cartoons, card games, and even Jim Carrey. We'll need to be a little more specific. Click Cancel, Suzanne. Click in the text box and add an S at the end of the word to make it cars. That's a little better. Now the list has only 5 topics. You can use the description button as we saw earlier to check out a topic. Or you can go directly to the Newsgroup to see the article titles that have been posted. When you find a topic you want to follow regularly, you can add it to your list with the Add to Your Newsgroups button. This is called subscribing to the Newsgroup. Once subscribed, this topic will appear on the list for easy selection whenever you enter the Usenet. Keep in mind people can post any types of comments they want to the Usenet. Sometimes you'll see disagreements that get pretty heated. Strong, critical messages that are called flames and can be quite rude. It's part of the process, and sometimes flames will burn quickly and deeply. Try not to be too sensitive and practice good etiquette to minimize your own exposure. Click Cancel to close this search, Suzanne. And cancel again to clear the Find dialog box. One final cancel will close the Usenet, and we can move on to our next topic. Our next tool, FTP, allows you to copy a file from a remote computer onto yours. We'll look first at FTP, the File Transfer Protocol, and review a search tool called Gopher that will help you find the files. I believe the search process will make more sense if we first understand how files are identified in the Internet system. Suzanne, click the Web button at the bottom of the screen to move quickly to the World Wide Web browser screen. Now click the FTP Gopher button. The text on this screen tells us that we can use the web browser for FTP and Gopher searches as well as the usual web sites. Suzanne, I'm sure you recall the World Wide Web from our first lesson. You know that the web allows you to type an address in the URL Universal Resource Locator to look at a home page at that address. Then you can jump to other home pages by clicking the hypertext links. What you may not know is that the World Wide Web is really a fancy FTP engine with many bells and whistles. That's right. The Universal Resource Locator address is also used for FTP file transfers and Gopher sites. So I think we should start with a quick review of how these addresses are written. Click on the right arrow at the bottom of your screen, Suzanne. The page shows examples of Gopher and FTP URLs. Let's compare a URL to another computer address we're already familiar with. On your own computer, a file address called path includes the drive, the directory, and subdirectories, the file name and extension. An internet file address follows a different progression, starting with the file group and working up to the name of the computer system, domain. Look at the first address on the screen. It starts with Gopher://. This tells us that the address is a Gopher site. More about that in a moment. The middle section between the slashes is the address of the computer where these files are physically stored. WX is an abbreviation for weather, and ATMOS probably means atmosphere. UIUC.edu is the domain. The edu tells us it is an educational institution. UIUC stands for University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. This school is very active in developing new tools for the internet and is also a wonderful storehouse of data and software programs. A good site to find files for downloading. After the single slash, 11 is the name of a directory, and states is the name of a second directory. This address is a Gopher site for weather data. We're going to type it into the URL line on the web browser and look for files that we might download. Pay close attention to the punctuation and also to upper or lowercase letters. In general, URLs contain no spaces and use dots to separate the levels of the address. The URLs for websites start with the letters HTTP://. HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. A URL for an FTP site starts with the letters FTP://. And a Gopher URL starts with Gopher://. Let's use this one. Click the web button at the bottom of the screen, Suzanne, and click the Browse the Web button. As soon as the star stops spinning, the Prodigy homepage is loaded. We can see the location of this homepage within the URL box. Let's type in the weather Gopher that was listed a moment ago. Click the Navigate menu and select Get URL. Now type in the address as shown here, gopher://wx.atmos.uiuc.edu/11/states. Check your spelling carefully and be sure you have a capital S in states. Click OK when you're finished. The Gopher menu takes a moment to load. When it's completed, you may want to add this address to your hot list, like we learned in the first lesson. The Gopher menu has a directory for each state in the U.S., plus Washington, D.C. Let's look at Colorado, Suzanne. Viewers, you may want to choose your own state. Just click on the name of the state you want to search. Inside the Colorado folder, we see another list. This is a list of documents with topics as we see on the screen. The page symbol with lines on it means these are text documents. Click the Ag Forecast, Suzanne, to display the text on your screen. You're actually reading a file stored on a computer in Urbana, Illinois. In addition to reading the document, you can copy it onto your own computer. Planning to travel? You can look up the weather forecast, download it to your computer, and even print a copy. You can save some connection time charges by downloading a large file and then reading it from your own computer after you disconnect from the service provider. Download is the word used for receiving a file from a remote system. If you were sending a file, it would be called uploading. Let's see how. The file on your screen is a fairly long one, more than a screen. Click the Save button at the top of this window, Suzanne. This dialog box looks very much like the usual File Save As, with only one slight difference. It's prepared to save this object as a file. At this point, your computer doesn't know the file as text. It could be anything. Name this file weather.txt. The TXT extension will allow you to read the file using the Windows Notepad. Click OK to save the file on your computer.
Professor, we used the weather gopher that was listed on Prodigy's FTP page. How can I find other files to download?
An excellent question, Suzanne. Gopher is actually a search engine, but you still need to know where to find Gopher sites. The web page has some answers to your question. Click the Home button to get back to the Prodigy web browser screen. Just below the web browser title and graphic, you see several blue hypertext categories. Click the Search Tools hypertext link, Suzanne. You can read the details from this screen at your own leisure. Scroll down a bit, and here is a listing for Yahoo, which we saw in the first lesson. Scroll down further, and you can see a variety of search options. These are pretty self-explanatory, so I'll leave it to you to read through the options and test them out. We should move along to our next topic. We'll disconnect from Prodigy now, so open the File menu and select Exit. Now we're back on the web browser screen. Pull down the File menu and select Exit again. In the Exit dialog box, click on the number 1 to exit Prodigy. We've been using Prodigy as our access point for the Internet, but there are many other service providers in the market. Each has its own user interface, so the actual instruction process looks a little different for each one. But most of the Internet access providers offer all the features we've discussed so far in one form or another. The key, of course, is to be sure your service provider does indeed offer real Internet access. As we saw in Prodigy, some options, for example the bulletin boards and chat rooms, are only within the service, and others actually connect to the Internet, Usenet, and FTP. Let's take a look at the Internet services on CompuServe, Suzanne, to see the similarities and differences. We'll use the CompuServe Information Manager, or WinCIM, as our first access point. CompuServe offers connection from DOS or from Windows. CIM is the Windows interface, so just click the CIM icon to open this connection. Viewers, we will assume that you have already installed your CIM program and established a user account on CompuServe. If you have not, you may want to pause the tape now to take care of these details, or you may want to watch the rest of this lesson as a demonstration without following the hands-on instructions. When the connection and sign-on process is complete, we have a window with icons representing various options, including one for Internet. Click that icon, Suzanne. This window follows the typical pattern for CompuServe. It has some text information in the large central space and several buttons for action options. The Usenet and FTP buttons will take you to those Internet services with specific instructions for their use. You've seen how these services work already, and the connection from CompuServe is similar to that from Prodigy. The end result is the same for either one. Newsgroups on thousands of different topics in Usenet and ways to search for and download files using FTP. There is a button here for Telnet, a service that we haven't seen yet.
What exactly does Telnet do, Professor?
Telnet is used to connect directly to a remote computer host, as if you were logged on directly to that computer. However, the connection is handled through an intermediate computer where you sign on initially. Telnet provides a live, active presence on the host computer rather than just being able to read or copy files. It's frequently used to access a remote system without incurring long-distance phone charges. Of course, you must have an authorized account on the host computer, just as you do on your initial service provider system. Some systems will allow you to log on as a guest with no password. This is often the case with Freenets and some university systems. For example, Suzanne, suppose you had an Internet access account at the University of Denver. If you were visiting friends in Cleveland who had a local Cleveland Internet access account, you could start with their connection and Telnet back to your own account in Denver. Otherwise, you'll have to dial long distance from Cleveland to Denver to check your account. Click the Telnet button, Suzanne, and we'll take a look. The CompuServe Telnet Access window gives you a list of options for exploring this service. As you might expect, there's an FAQ so you can check out the basic information. Further down the list is a line for Telnet site descriptions. Click to mark that line, Suzanne, and click Select. Here are some Telnet sites that look interesting: Online Career Center, Bookstacks Unlimited, NASA Spacelink. Let's look at the description for the Online Career Center. Double-click that line, Suzanne. We're just looking at a description right now, not actually trying to access the site yet. This is a job listing service. This could be a very valuable resource. Click Cancel to close this description window, Suzanne, and cancel again to close the site list. Now, to actually telnet to the Career Center, click the List of Sites button. Double-click on Online Career Center. This alert message is a reminder that when you telnet, you are leaving the host. Notice the last sentence here, Suzanne. You may return to CompuServe at any time by holding down the Control key and pressing the right bracket key. This is a standard disconnect procedure for a telnet connection. Click Proceed to make the remote connection. Your CompuServe account is still running in the background, and you are still adding connect time charges on that account. But you have also dialed into the University of Minnesota OCC for Online Career Center Gopher server. The screen has changed to a VT100 terminal emulation, and we have the welcome message from OCC together with a reminder about using the control bracket keys to disconnect. Look closely at the third line where it says trying 198.70.36.71. This string of numbers is known as the IP address for this telnet site. It's the easiest way to enter a computer address when you want to make a telnet connection. You can use this number in the future to dial this site directly through the internet. I'll show you how in just a moment. Press Enter to continue. The next screen is a menu for various search options and other information. There's an FAQ at number 10 on the list. This screen is fairly typical of what you can expect to see when you telnet to a computer that is not running a front-end program like Prodigy or CompuServe. This telnet site has a menu which is a convenience for outside users. In some cases, you may have to use Unix commands to navigate through the remote computer system. If you get stuck, remember, you can always escape from the site by pressing your Control and right bracket keys. At the bottom of the screen are instructions about the commands to use on this computer. Press Q to quit this connection, Suzanne. You can come back later to explore further. Notice a yes/no confirmation message at the bottom of the screen. Really quit? And Y is flashing. Type Y and press Enter, Suzanne. Now the screen has changed to show that the remote connection is closed. Now, Suzanne, click the Access a Specific Site option and click Select. We're going to type an IP address just like the one we saw earlier. But instead of going to the Career Center again, we'll try the Denver FreeNet. A FreeNet is a service that is offered to the public at little or no charge. But remember that you are still connected to your original site and must still pay any connection charges that apply to your front-end server. Okay, Suzanne, type in the following address: 140.226.1.8. When you finish, click on OK. When you see the alert window, click Proceed. We now see the login screen. The screen tells us that new users should type guest at the login prompt. Type that now, Suzanne, and press Enter. Now we see the welcome screen for the Denver FreeNet. This screen will explain everything you need to do to become a registered user. You do not need to register to use the system as a guest, but when you do register, you are allowed to do more things on the system. Of course, the registration is also free, but donations are always graciously accepted. You may need to press your spacebar a few times to read all of the message.
Professor, why is the text taking so long to appear on the screen?
Suzanne, it's normal for a telnet type of connection to take longer because telnet establishes a two-way link between your computer and server and the remote system. resulting in slower data transmissions. When you reach the end, the screen reads, "Please press return to continue." Do that now, Suzanne. Again, you see another file. Press the space bar to reach the end of this file, and once again press enter. This is the main menu for the Denver Freenet. Many choices are offered here. You simply type the number of a menu item and press return to activate that item. If you want to register for the system, you would choose item number 1. For now, let's type in the number 12 for the Community Center and Recreation Area and press enter. We are given a new menu with additional choices, all of which deal with the Denver community. Other Freenets from all over the country offer similar information about their local communities. This is a great way to learn about places we have never actually visited. On the screen now is a list of other Freenets and their IP addresses. We want to get back to CompuServe, so type an X to exit the Denver Freenet and press enter. Once again, we're asked for confirmation of this choice. Type a Y and press enter. Suzanne, we're signed on to CompuServe right now. We're looking at some of the internet services available from CompuServe's Basic Services window in the CIM Information Manager. There's one additional item here that I want to call to your attention. The last item on this list of internet services is Direct Internet Access. Dial PPP. Double-click that option, Suzanne. The Dial-Up PPP window gives some additional options that will lead you through the steps to download a file called Net Launcher. This uses the Spry Mosaic web browser to give you access to the World Wide Web with a single click of your mouse. The download process takes about 30 minutes, so we won't go into it here. But you can follow the instructions on the screen to FTP this file to your own computer and then install this software on your system. How about that, Suzanne? Free software from the internet. Click Cancel to close this window. Open the File menu and choose Exit to disconnect from CompuServe. Before we conclude this lesson, I'd like to take a minute to tell you about some incredible discounts offered exclusively to our viewers. For some additional Internet information, we'd like to offer the whole Internet User's Guide and Catalog and the Mosaic Handbook for Microsoft Windows. These books help you unlock the Internet's resources, such as the World Wide Web. Receive a 20% discount when you call 800-998-9938. Ask for customer service. Mention the code ORA-1 when you ask for the Video Professor special offer. One order per customer, please. For those of you looking to do business or market your product on the Internet, you can receive a 15% discount on Doing More Business on the Internet and the Online Marketing Handbook. These books help you get started with Internet business ventures. To take advantage of this offer, simply mail or fax your order form, which you received with this video, to the address or phone number included on the order form. Internet World is the magazine for Internet users. You'll get monthly tips to keep you up to date with what's new on the Internet. Simply return the subscription card and close with this video. You'll receive the first issue absolutely free. If you decide to continue, receive 75% off the newsstand price. By now you know that you need a modem to use the Internet. We've arranged for you to receive a 10% discount. Simply call 800-727-8772 and ask for the Video Professor special offer. The operator will be able to help you decide which modem is best for your needs. Remember, we recommend at least a 14.4 baud modem for best Internet connection. You haven't yet decided on an Internet service provider? We've got more options for you. Try CompuServe for 1 free month of Internet use. Enclosed with this video, you'll find the software diskette you need to get up and running. Call 800-230-2247, ask for the Video Professor special offer, and you'll be given all the details. Be sure to ask them about the additional free credit that lets you use special areas on the Internet. WinNet Communications is another Internet service provider with a great reputation for helping customers who need a little extra help using the Internet. They've also agreed to provide 1 free month of Internet use. To find out about their great current offer, call 800-589-5999 plus extension 28 or 800-WIN-NET2 plus extension 28 or fax 502-589-7300. Ask for the Video Professor special offer. WinNet will send you a free software diskette to get you up and running on the Internet, as well as other details of the offer. Well, Suzanne, we've covered quite a bit of material in this lesson. You now have the skills to take you anywhere you'd like to go on this Internet. Now the real fun begins as you explore the vast resources of the Internet on your own. Have fun, and remember there's always more you can learn from me, the Video Professor.